We now have a quorum.
Yes, we do.
Debbie, you want to go ahead and call the roll?
Yes, I will. Mayor Fruling Vogus,
Present.
Darlene Kleppel,
Here.
Mayor Smith, Christopher Walton, Mayor Marlin. Here. Mary Alice Wu, Kyle Patterson,
Here.
Jim Goss,
Here.
Tom Bruno, Christina Wilcher,
I'm present.
Kelly Blandon,
Present.
Patrick Brown, and Mayor Finan.
I am also present.
Thank you.
I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved, Wilcher.
Okay, do we have a
Second,
second?
Darlene.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mayor Fruling Vogus, Darlene Kleppel,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin, Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Jim Goss,
Yes.
Tina Wilcher,
Yes.
and Mayor Finan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Do we have any audience participation? Seeing none, we have minutes from May 27th, 2022. I need a motion to approve.
So moved, Darlene.
Second, Goss.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mayor Fruling Vogus,
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin, Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Jim Goss,
Yes.
Tina Wilcher,
Yes.
and Mayor Finan.
Yes, motion passes. We have consolidated reports for finance for May, June, and July of 2022. If I could have a motion for all three, I would appreciate it.
I'll make that motion, Wilcher.
So we have a motion to approve from Wilcher. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second from Darlene. Betty, do you have anything you want to say about any of those three?
Sure. So good morning, everyone. As you can see, the fund balances for May, June, and July hover right near $12 to $13 million for each of the 3 months. Our receivables have been very significant. $3 million in May, 1.9 in June, and 2 million in July. And this is due to pending reimbursements from the state of Illinois for our extraordinary client assistance, which is primarily utility and rental assistance. So the RPC remains in a strong and healthy position.
Is there any discussion or questions for Betty? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Mayor Fruling Vogus,
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin, Mary Alice Wu, Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Jim Goss,
Yes.
Tom Bruno, Tina Wilcher,
Yes.
Kelly Blandon,
Yes.
and Mayor Finan.
Yes, motion is also approved. We have a list of bills. They are on item 6, A through O, in your report and on the agenda. I need a motion to approve or accept and place on file all of the bills that are listed there.
So moved, Goss.
Is there a second?
Second, Darlene.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions for Betty on any of them? Betty, do you have anything you want to highlight on any of them?
No, I just want to indicate that this is the new Tyler Munis reporting system, and so it lists invoices by general ledger account. I think what's most telling about this list of invoices and transactions is just sheer volume of processing that we've had for the last 3 months for client assistance, as I mentioned previously, rental assistance, utility assistance, and also workforce training participation. All of these charges are appropriate, and there is nothing unusual to report.
That sounds great. Please call the roll.
I have a
Mayor-
question, Deb, sorry.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, several of these are still COVID grants, is that correct? They're running through June?
So a number of our grants, including some of the ARPA funds, will run into the first quarter of next year, FY23.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Anything else? Please call the roll.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Frühling Bogus,
Yes.
Darlene Klippel,
Yes,
Mayor Marlin, Mary Alice Wu, Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Jim Goss,
Yes.
Tom Bruno, Bettina Wiltshire,
Yes.
Shelley Blandon,
Yes.
and Mayor Finan.
Yes, the motion passes. Those are approved. The next item on our agenda is the budget proposal. We need a motion and a second, and then I'll turn it over to Delitzo and Betty for their presentation. So a motion to accept and place on file the 23 budget.
So moved, Wiltshire. Oh, I'm
We
sorry.
have,
Second.
that's okay. We have a motion from Wiltshire, a second by Marlin. And I am going to turn it over then to Delitzo and Betty.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, Commissioners. We're going to be presenting to you our proposed FY 2023 budget. Just to remind you that this is our preliminary budget. In November, we will then also present to you our compensation plan after we have completed all of our performance evaluations of our staff. Before I get into the actual presentation, I just wanted to highlight there's a one-pager document that was included in the binders that were provided to you. I'm sure you've observed that the binders this year are a little bit slimmer compared to previous years. And the reason is that the county had for over 40 years a proprietary fiscal and accounting system, which has been phased out and replaced with a new system, new system by Tyler Munis. And we've been going through this transition now for the last few months. One of the things that we did observe 6 months into this implementation is that the configuration of this system did not allow for us to have specific grant identifiers. And so we approached the county because, again, the RPC is primarily grant funded. And so we did approach the county to allow for us to utilize a field that's within the system to allow us to then have these grant identifiers. Our fiscal staff since June of this year have been working on implementing that aspect of it. And so because of the fact that this reconfiguration is in progress, the individual grant budgetary data is unavailable for FY 2023. Instead, what we've provided is summary project data by major fund, inclusive of all known continuation and new grants, new grant awards. That's what's being presented. This is consistent with the county's FY 2023 budget directive and our inability to develop grant-specific budgets in the Tyler Munis system at this time. However, we've also provided to you all grants and contracts, which are identified by number, amount, and period, which is also found in the binders that have been provided to you. And this will show all of the planned revenue and expenditures and included in the project-based summary for each fund. And so hopefully next year, when we present the FY 2024 budget, this process would have obviously been completed, and we should be able to provide to you the same information we have in previous years. With that said, we'll begin to present to you our proposed FY 2023 budget. If we could go to the next slide. And so for the overall total agency budget, we're looking at revenues of 46,560,000. I'm sorry. Yes, 46,560,967, with expenditures of 46,295,131. Compared to last year's budget, we're down a little bit, and this is due to some of the COVID resources being phased out, as those were only one-time funds. The agency budget, the overall agency budget, accommodates 5 funds. It includes more than 150 grants in 8 program areas. Again, the RPC is 90% grant funded, and so that is what consists of our budget. We anticipate our staffing levels to remain stable, even though we're all dealing with these workforce issues, but we do anticipate our staffing levels to remain stable. We're proud of the fact that our administrative costs are less than 7% of the agency budget. The state of Illinois allows us to go up to 18%, and the federal government allows us to go up to 15%, but yet our administrative costs are less than 7% of the overall agency budget. The overall agency budget, again, reduction shows, some of the funds that were one time that are not going to be continued in the future. Moving on to the next slide. Now, starting with our specific funds, this is our operating, general operating fund, Fund 075. In this fund, we're anticipating revenues of 30,229,437, with expenditures of 30,024,781, with a fund balance of 4,330,062. The fund balance includes, these are all restricted funds within the fund balance. We have some of our emergency rental assistance funds, because those funds were paid to us directly by the federal government. We're continuing to provide services. We have an eviction prevention program that we're running right now. And then we also have within that compensated absences, as well as other funds that are restricted. We move on to the next slide, please. The next fund is Fund 104. This is our early childhood fund. In this fund for FY23, revenues of 13,240,000 and anticipating expenditures of 13,105,500, with a budgeted fund balance of 3,072,095. Again, with this budgeted fund balance, we have some of our subsidy reimbursements from the state of Illinois, and also within that we have our the liabilities for absences, as well as resources for us to maintain the facilities where we operate the program. The program, again, with our early childhood, we have both federal and state funds. The federal funding from the Office of Head Start and the state funds from the Illinois State Board of Education. This allows us to provide comprehensive full-day child development services. And our enrollment, again, I don't like this number, but our enrollment is to provide services to over 666 children and their families. It includes enhanced center-based learning platforms responsive to the needs of our at-risk infants and preschoolers. And then also includes sustained efforts to incorporate new approaches to effective child and family service delivery while securing qualified teaching staff and preventing transmission of the COVID-19 virus. If we could move on to the next slide, please. This is our Fund 110, our Workforce Development Fund. Within this fund, we're anticipating revenues of 2,893,500 and expenditures of 2,889,350. The fund balance, as you see, is a negative fund balance of 13,536. This has to do with timing from the state of Illinois. The delayed payments to us, we have to be reimbursed after the fact. And so because of the delays with the state of Illinois, we have a negative fund balance, but typically that gets caught up before the program ends in June. This fund includes reduced federal funding, formula grant funding. Because of the loss in census in the state of Illinois, the funding allocation from the federal government to the state of Illinois was reduced, and as a consequence, our grant was reduced by about $1 million. So as you can see, if we compare what we presented to you for FY 2022 and FY 2023, there is a reduction in revenue. However, we have made up some of those losses with some grants that the division was able to secure, namely $600,000 in funding to do an apprenticeship navigator program. If we could move on to the next slide, please. Next fund is Fund 475, our Economic Development Fund. With this fund, we're anticipating revenues of $183,000 and expenditures of $233,500. We have a fund balance of $7,012,965. Most of that includes receivables for the loans that we make to various small businesses. And we do not anticipate to make a lot of loans in FY 2023 due to the fact that the economic conditions that we're still experiencing right now are inclusive of labor shortages as well as the supply chain disruptions. And so the demand for our loans has not been as great as it was in previous years. If we could move on to the next slide, please. The last fund to present is Fund 474. This is our USDA loan fund. Within this fund, revenues of $15,030 and expenditures of $42,000. Our budgeted fund balance is $799,279. Same donation as of the previous fund in the sense that this is inclusive of our receivables for the loans that we have made. This fund, again, is our intermediary revolving loan fund, IRP, where we make loans particularly to businesses or to communities that have a population of less than 25,000. I think I may have highlighted this last year. One of the loans we made was to the village of Royal. I think some of you do recall that we had a late colleague that went with us to both Springfield as well as to Washington, D.C., advocating for the village of Royal to address their sewer system. And so we were able to make a loan to that village. This, for FY 23, what we're budgeting includes an estimated disbursement of $150,000 in new public entity loan financing, again in FY 2023. The next thing I'd like to highlight are the local contributions, which I think would be of interest to the commissioners. The first is for Champaign County. Contributions from Champaign County to CUATS is $35,223, and membership $20,221. And for police training, which those funds come out of the sheriff's budget, is for $9,361. And then for the Youth Assessment Center, $320,000, which is a total contribution from Champaign County to the Regional Planning Commission is $384,805. For the city of Champaign, for CUATS, $35,223. Membership, $57,513. Police training, $19,588. And for the Youth Assessment Center, $15,000, giving us a total of $127,324 from the city of Champaign. For the city of Urbana, for CUATS, $35,223. Membership, 25,535. And for police training, 11,561, with a total contribution from the city of Urbana, 72,319. For the village of Rantoul, for membership, 8,917. And for police training, 4,816, with a total contribution from the village of Rantoul, 13,733. For the village of Savoy, for Kuwats, 6,215. For membership, 6,668, giving us a total from the village of Savoy at 12,883. Village of Muhammad, membership, 7,038. Police training, 1,237, giving us a total from the village of Muhammad, 8,275. Village of St. Joseph, for membership, 3,438. And that's the total from the village of St. Joseph. And lastly, from the University of Illinois, for Kuwats, 18,265. And that is the total contribution from the University of Illinois to the Regional Planning Commission. That concludes my presentation, Mayor.
So are there questions? Does anybody have any questions for Delitzo or Betty? Seeing none, we have a motion that is currently pending to accept and place on file this draft budget. Please call the roll.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Frühling Vogus,
Yes.
Darlene Klippel,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Kim Goss,
Yes.
Bettina Wiltshire,
Yes.
Kelly Blandon,
Yes.
and Mayor Finan.
Yes, it is approved and placed on file. So the next item on our agenda is the Head Start report.
Good morning,
Brandy, yep, sorry.
Sorry, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. In February 2022, I requested an initial carryover of unobligated funds of the Early Head Start expansion grant for approximately $250,000 due to the number of Early Head Start staff vacancies that we experienced over the course of the year. At that time in February, the board did approve. Since closing out the grant in August, the amount was lower than expected. The regional office is requesting an amendment to the initial carryover, which is now $220,950. We are still also requesting approval for non-federal share waiver as well. I am open to any questions.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the Head Start management report, including the financials and service area reports for April, May, and June as presented. Somebody's saying that they're making a motion, but I can't really hear them. I think it's Ms. Wiltshire, your mic's on. Somebody else want to make a motion?
Move to approve the Head Start management report.
Okay, is there a second?
A second, Klippel.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments for Brandy?
Mayor,
Yep.
I'm sorry. This was for the carryover request.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep.
That's a
Yep, we need to do the carryover request first. So can we amend your motion to the carryover request?
Yes, we amend the motion.
All right. And we have a second by Darlene. Any questions about the carryover request? Please call the roll.
Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Frühling Vogus,
Yes.
Darlene Klippel,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Kim Goss,
Yes.
Bettina Wiltshire,
Yes.
Kelly Blandon,
Yes.
and Mayor Finan.
Yes, that motion is approved. And now we have the management reports for April, May, and June. Why don't we do a motion to approve those?
So moved, Wiltshire.
Is there a second?
Second, Keppel.
There you go, second by Kleppel. Brandy, do you have anything you want to say about the management reports?
Absolutely. In your management packet, you should have received the reports for April, May, and June. This morning, I want to highlight some of our successes as well as just talk a little bit about some challenges. In April, our program sent out parent surveys to all enrolled families, and we received 126 survey responses, which was a 30% response rate, which isn't so bad. We were hoping for more. 99% of our families were either extremely satisfied or satisfied with our program support and services. So we're very happy to hear that we're meeting the expectations of our families. If you remember, our program had a Focus Area 2 federal monitoring review during the first week of May. In July, I received the completed report, and our program had no non-compliances or deficiencies. So that was a very successful and positive report. In June 2022, the Champaign County Mental Health Board awarded the program a 2-year contract for $347,235 per year, totaling $694,470. This funding supports 3 social skills and prevention coaches and a mental health consultant to provide social emotional skill development for children under the age of 5 years and coaching to classroom staff. So we're very excited and thankful to the board for continuing to fund those services. In July, the program received the continuation grant awards for Preschool for All at $720,090 and Preschool for All expansion at $485,102. This funding supports the preschool certified teachers for our Head Start classrooms that provide services for the Illinois State Board of Education. At the end of July, our management team met virtually with 51 staff and community partners for the annual self-assessment review and community assessment focus groups. This was the largest turnout that we've had in years. A final report will be coming out in October to share with the commission as we prepare to write for the continuation grants for the upcoming school year. Recently, our program was awarded a CLIA waiver, or a Clinical Lab Improvement Amendment waiver, to provide free COVID-19 testing at our centers. The Illinois Department of Public Health will be sending us 1,000 free testing kits, and our managers will be trained to provide the testing. And I want to share that this is a really huge, it's a game changer for us. We will be able to test children and staff who become ill or have symptoms of COVID, and hopefully decrease the number of classroom closures. In July, DeLitzo alerted you that we had to temporarily close the Savoy Center due to the high number of staff vacancies. At the time, we had 48 vacancies and climbing, with 12 classroom closures. Consolidating the centers allowed us to fill classrooms with appropriate staffing levels. As we began the new school year, we have 35 staff vacancies and 8 classrooms that are closed. So that was a significant difference. We are hoping to stabilize our workforce, fill vacancies, relieve stress for our employees, and provide consistent quality educational services and care to our children and families. August is a busy time of year for us as we are closing out the 2021-2022 program year and preparing for the 2022-23 school year. Our team is in full training mode the last couple weeks here, and preparing their classrooms and for the children, and then also meeting with families. And honestly, we're ready to start a new year with some positivity. And that concludes my report. Please let me know if you have any questions.
So are there any questions? All right, I see none. We have a motion to approve all of them on the floor. Please call the roll.
Patrick Brown. Mayor Fruleng-Bogus,
Yes.
Darlene Kleppel,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin,
Yes.
Kyle Patterson,
Yes.
Jim Boss,
Yes.
Tina Wiltshire,
Yes.
Kelly Blandon,
Yes.
and Mayor Feynman.
Yes, those all three are approved. Thank you, Brandy.
And
So the
also,
next,
yes, sorry, yes for Patrick. Sorry about that. I couldn't unmute.
no problem. So the next items on our agenda are the program updates. We are starting with finance, Betty.
Sure. So as Delizzo mentioned, fiscal staff are working diligently on reconfiguring the Tyler Munis accounting system so that it is consistent with our grants management requirements and ensures the financial integrity of the RPC and how we manage those grants. So that's a work in progress, but we're making incredible progress toward that end. We've also secured UKG, or the Ultimate Chronos Group. Ready platform is what it's called, for time and attendance and human capital management. We are in the initial design and discovery phase of developing that platform with their technical assistance staff, and we look forward to agency-wide implementation within 130 days. Clifton Larson Allen, the external audit firm for Champaign County, has completed all of the RPC field work for the FY21 external audit. We look forward to completion of that single audit by the due date of September 30th, 2022. They did review major program areas at the RPC, including the U.S. Department of Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance Program, over $7.3 million. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services funding from LIHEAP, and the U.S. Department of Treasury County ARPA funds. And finally, we will begin AFSCME contract negotiations this fall as the contract expires on February 28th, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think Becky is next.
Becky is not here today, Mayor.
Yeah, do we have somebody doing her report?
I don't believe so.
Okay. All righty, then continuing on. Oops, I just lost my window. Whoever is next, please go ahead and go.
Good morning, it's me, Lisa Benson, Community Services.
Thank you.
Sure. So we launched, I wanted to give some highlights. Our typical standard programming continues at full-fledged, but some highlights of work in the last over the summer. We did launch the County ARPA Housing Assistance Fund in May. We were awarded or provided $263,000 from the county ARPA funding to assist households in remaining housed through mortgage, rent assistance, or utility assistance. At this time, we have spent $250,000 of that $263,000. 9% of that was towards mortgage and about 91% through utility assistance. With the LIHEAP program closing at the end of May, this was able to bridge and assist households who were in disconnection to remain with their utilities. That specific funding, 30% of those funds was provided to residents in Rantoul, 33% in Urbana, and 32% in Champaign. 5% was to residents in Mahomet, Savoy, St. Joseph, Fisher, and Homer. We do have a small amount of funding, about $13,000, to still continue to provide mortgage assistance. We also have been, it was mentioned, an eviction prevention program. From January 2022 to current, we have been providing that eviction prevention service. It includes weekly attendance in the eviction court hearings, advocacy and negotiation with landlords, support to tenants facing eviction, referrals and linkages, and financial assistance. With financial assistance of $225,000, we've been able to assist 55 households to remain housed and or to gain new housing. We've also been working to establish a new office site in Rantoul that will open on September 1st. Primarily a LIHEAP office site, however, we will wrap additional ancillary services there in Rantoul. I'm also excited to announce that yesterday we put out an announcement about a partnership that we're providing with PCs for People to distribute approximately 500 desktop computers free of charge to LIHEAP assisted clients. So those that are 200% federal poverty level or lower. Darlene had mentioned some of the funds and when they were going to sunset, essentially. We do have a CSBG CARES grant that we've been providing mortgage assistance alongside with the county ARPA funds. That grant does end in September of this year, so this next month. I anticipate that our mortgage assistance will end in September. We also have a emergency solutions grant that is specific to CARES, and that will end in June of 2023. And then our ERA, the Department of Treasury funding, we have those funds to assist households through September of 2025. I'm happy to answer any other questions about the services and community services or any of the information that I've provided. Thank you for your time.
Any questions for Lisa? Seeing none, Rita, you're on.
Good morning, everyone. Well, in the last 3 months, the staff has been working on the regular planning work and transportation engineering and economic development, as well as special grant projects. But what I want to highlight today is the work that we have been doing with several agencies on grant applications. First, I want to mention that we have been working with several agencies on putting together an SS48 grant applications. That's a Safe Street for All Roads grant application. This is a new initiative from the federal government. The grant application is for the amount of $30 million. The scope of the grant includes infrastructure and operational components, as well as behavioral components. In terms of our scope, we have been working with the city of Champaign to include as part of the grant, Bradley Avenue and North Mill Street corridor preliminary engineering for a total cost of $1.25 million, with the city of Urbana on preliminary engineering and construction for the Lincoln Avenue corridor from Fairview Avenue to Killarney Street, and with Champaign County Highway Engineer for County Highway 22 from Royal to Penfield for total reconstruction of the roadway for about $40 million. Aside from that, to make the grant more appealing to the federal government, we are adding the behavioral component that will have education and encouragement. For that purpose, we are working with MTD. MTD already has some established marketing capabilities. Then we want to use that they have to build an outreach and educational campaign for the whole community at large, and also support this Champaign Urbana Safe Route to School program to provide continue and improve bike and pedestrian education and encouragement for kids in elementary and middle schools. Then all this packet is about $30 million. It's a huge grant. First time, we think that we are in advantage on if we compare with other communities, because the grant has two pieces. One is for developing plans, and the other piece is for implementation. At this point in time, we work really hard in the last 3 months to make our safety plans compliant with the requirement to, instead of applying for planning funds to develop plans, to go into the second step, which is apply for funding for implementation. And we don't think that there are many communities of our size in the United States that are at that point. Then hopefully that will give us some advantage over other communities of similar size because we are considered rural to get the funding. Let's see. Also, we are working on 3 grant applications. These are ITEP applications. We are working with the City of Urbana on submitting a grant for the Florida Avenue shared use path between Race Street and Lincoln Avenue. Also with the City of Urbana on submitting a grant for the Baker's Lane shared use path between Main Street and along Washington Street, connecting the North KRT to the wellness facility in the City of Urbana. And working with the Village of Savoy on applying for a grant to build the Prairie Fields shared use path between Curtis Road and Old Church. And this path will be connecting the path that is currently in construction along First Street, which is ending at Curtis Road. And the grant application will be continuing the path south to connect with Colbert Park. All these grants are due in September. Then the PCD staff has been really, really busy working on these 4 different grant applications aside all the other projects that we have. Also, we are working with the Village of Rantoul on another grant. This is part of the CARES funding that was awarded to Champaign County. The grant is for building 10 bus shelters in the Village of Rantoul. This is a need in that community and it's a huge challenge for the village to be able to provide these facilities. Then we asked for funding for this purpose. The funding was awarded, but we are in the process of getting things implemented there, working closely with the village. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Are there any questions for Rita? Seeing none, Tyler.
Good morning, everybody. This is Justin with Workforce Development. I'm going to give a quick overview of a couple things.
Sorry, I got you backwards.
Oh,
I was
it's okay.
thinking Tyler.
And no worries. A review of our program over the past year. You know, our program year is July 1st through June 30th. So it just wrapped up. If we were going to reflect back on last year's program, we would say it was a success. We served about 500 folks that had barriers to employment, single families, formerly justice involved, formerly incarcerated, disability, on SNAP benefits, homeless. So we really serve the most vulnerable population in our community. Served about 500 folks to get them into job training. And then our performance metrics for that job training is after they exit, do they have a good wage? Were they employed? Did they get a credential? It looks like we met our performance goals. So that was a success for us. Early in the spring, we passed monitoring, and that's where the state reviews our program and our fiscal processes and our work over the year. We passed that. So many thanks to Betty and the fiscal department for their work that they do with us. Every year when we get that federal grant, we need to spend 80% of it. You can't carry over those funds. And that was a challenge for a lot of workforce areas. We were able to meet those 80% expenditure rates. And I guess I would credit a lot of our partners for really promoting who we are and what we do. Parkland was a big help in getting the word out and getting their students into our program. And then Maury, our internal staff, had a great idea with Facebook posts. Those seem to drive some traffic in here. So thanks, Maury. Overall, I'd say that we had a successful year, and I'm looking to what we do next year. I'm going to cover 2 more things, and then I'll let Tyler take over. Debbie, who's ever running this, can I get permission to share my screen?
Okay,
You got
should
it.
be able to.
All right. Let's see. Do you see a picture of a big bus, or do you see a picture of a
I
lot of?
see the agenda.
Okay. Let's see.
Oh, now I'm seeing you, so I bet that makes it so you can do it.
Let's see. See a picture of a bus now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we were able to secure a mobile workforce center. This was Betty's idea. We explored it to see if it had some opportunities here. It turned out that it did. And we had a lot of support around it from our board and from the state, and we were able to secure it this year. So thanks, Betty, for a good idea. We were happy to get it. We need to promote with our outreach East Central Illinois WorkNet. So that's a partnership, you know, between RPC and IDES and DHS and Parkland and Champaign Housing Authority, et cetera, et cetera. So the bus is used to promote the workforce system in general. It highlights our target sectors on the side. So manufacturing and healthcare and business services, and then logistics and ag tech and construction. And then we try and highlight our website. In back is room for 6 desks with training capabilities. Our internal technology folks are going to be installing the laptops over the next week. We're going to go to different areas in our workforce areas and just talk to people about jobs in our target sectors, talk about pathways to those jobs and earning potential. And then talk to them about community services that can help them get the jobs. So I think it will increase awareness around what our local opportunities are. We're looking forward to that. We also think maybe virtual reality might play a role in helping people explore work environments they're unfamiliar with. And so we're kind of exploring that and having that as an addition to the bus. So we're looking forward over the next year or 2 years to growing that as part of who we are and how we reach out to the community, giving people an opportunity to learn about local jobs and resources. Lastly, I'm going to share one more thing. As you know, we serve adults directly, and we serve employers directly, and we serve youth by providing pass-through grants to local community organizations. So we just had our annual kickoff with all of our youth providers. Those are the youth programs that we fund to provide workforce programs to the community. They're primarily in Champaign. So you recognize, do you see something that's a youth provider kickoff? Yep, okay.
Yes.
So you recognize some of these groups: Dream, Principal Scholars, Ready, First Followers, Cunningham's Children's Home. And we all were able to get into a room, which was great, as we're in a different phase of COVID, and talk about what is workforce development. So it was good to see everybody. And we had an opportunity to really help our youth providers focus on what is workforce development. And workforce development, the purpose of it is to increase for individuals in the U.S., particularly those individuals with barriers to employment, access to and opportunities for the employment, education, training, and support services they need to succeed in the labor market. So as we serve adults and as we serve employers, we have a lot of control over that message. When we work with youth providers, you're talking about 9 different organizations with 9 different missions. And so we're really working to get us all on the same page that these programs are about helping people succeed in the labor market. And we feel like we're starting to get in that direction. We're talking to folks about how you do that. And it's really tutoring, work experiences, occupational skills training, mentoring, financial literacy education. So we felt really fortunate to be in a room with everyone and really be able to focus on this is workforce development. This is what we're doing in our community, and have some folks buy into that. So we feel like we're running a stronger program. Those are all the updates I have. We're looking forward to the next year with adults and employers and the Mobile Workforce Center and youth, and we appreciate all of your support here.
Any questions for Justin? Questions for Justin? Thank you, Tyler.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to meet you all digitally. I am the new director of the new Data and Technology Division that has been separated from the Planning and Community Development Division that it used to be a part of under Rita. The purpose of this new division is, which is made up of software developers, data and GIS specialists, is to serve all of the divisions better than more specifically the PCD, and to work better with outside organizations for RPC overall. The vision I have for this group of technology specialists is that through the support, production, analysis, and delivery of high accuracy data, we will create meaningful, positive changes in the daily lives of citizens and their communities. Now, I know I just got here and I don't have a whole list of accomplishments for the last 6 months, but I can say that with the departure of certain people from the organization who set up a lot of systems, specifically open source systems, the skills gap that we have now in the organization is and specifically in my division, is rather large, and that we have been able to continue to provide the services that we need for the different divisions and different things. There are more challenges than just people leaving the organizations, though. There's also inconsistent data resources, the documentation on a lot of things that were instituted more recently that are open source are scattered and not quite, consolidated. So there's a lot of work that can be done cleaning that up, making a repository that's very easy to access and able to access from other divisions. We also have this development environment, which we have to have for all of these grants we get, where we make web apps, we make lots of different things for the public side. It's a less secure and development environment because our technology vendors do not support it specifically. With my role as creating an overall IT plan, management plan for the whole RPC, I plan to include this Linux development environment with our Windows networking environment and do a single overall plan so that it can have more clarity and provide additional controls and accountability to all of our systems. That's really all I've got right now. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you and welcome. Are there any questions? I am not seeing any. Delizzo.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to be very brief. We are still going through the strategic planning process. I know that the consultants we're working with will be providing an update to the commissioners in terms of where we are. One thing I will say is that the input from the commissioners and other stakeholders to the organization, we're taking that very seriously. One of the things that I know was as a result of the engagement that the consultants had with commissioners is the need for us to, I think, have more visibility with your respective either city councils or boards. And so we will be working on scheduling periodic presentations to those bodies in terms of what the Regional Planning Commission is doing, particularly in your respective communities or jurisdictions. It has been a pretty, I think, interesting process. We have a few more things to work on. Once feedback is sought from the commissioners, the plan is to present the final draft to the commissioners at our November meeting, and then we will begin to implement some of the projects that we need to work on beginning January of 2023. I've also shared with you that due to the fact that the county will be moving most of its operations to the downtown new offices, I think in 2024. The remaining organizations here will be the RPC, the Attorney General's Office, Mental Health Board, and maybe the county's IT. And as a result, we engaged the services of an architect to help us with space planning, to not only look at our current space, but what our future space needs look like, and then also taken into consideration with some of our divisions that are working more in a hybrid format and what that means in terms of space. And so we had the report issued in June. We had a follow-up meeting with the architect, and then we had another meeting with the architect earlier this week with all of the division directors. And so what we are hoping to do is then use that report to begin to look at options for the RPC, whether that option means remaining here at Brookings or moving elsewhere where the RPC can be able to operate effectively. So we will certainly bring any of those options or recommendations back to the commissioners, but we are going to be using that report to inform any decisions that we will need to make as an organization. With that said, Mayor, I don't have anything else to add.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? I wanted to also mention that Delizzo has won an award from the state of Illinois, which I don't remember the date that you are receiving it. I was trying to find the email. Do you mind telling the commissioners the date that you will be receiving the award and a little bit about it?
Thank you, Mayor. It is a humanitarian award from the University of Illinois. I actually didn't know that I was even nominated, and Maury, our public relations person, had received the email because I wasn't responding to the university. But anyway, this will be presented in February of 2023, and it will be presented by both President Killeen and the Chancellor of the University of Illinois in Springfield.
So congratulations. Great job.
Thank you.
So with that, do we have any old business? Any new business? Need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion, Wiltshire.
Looks like I have a second from Diane Marlin. All those, oh, we have to call the roll. Please call the roll.
Okay, Patrick Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Pruden Bogus. Darlene Kleppel had,
Yes.
Mayor Marlin,
Yes.
Kyle Paxson,
Yes.
Jim Gloss,
Yes.
Katina Wiltshire,
Yes.
Kelly Blandon,
Yes.
and Mayor Finan.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, Katina.
Bye-bye.